Great
Citizens, friends, family, esteemed faculty, distinguished guests, and not so distinguished guests. I'm not going to name names. My fellow seniors. While it is with utmost gratitude that I accept your nomination, it is, unfortunately, also with a heavy heart that I stand before you acknowledging my role as the last senior graduation speaker that the Putney School, in all its 77 years of splendor, will ever know. Oh, yes. 2012, right? If I'm not mistaken, about 6 months from now, the bottomless shaft of the abyss will open up and swallow the damned and woeful souls in a cataclysmic orgy of hellfire and judgment. If I am mistaken, then these next 4.5 minutes could prove to be some of the more cliched minutes worth of graduation speech that you can envision, which renders my presence here before you all the more lackluster and leaves us hoping somewhat unexpectedly for the worst. Now, I know what you're going to say, and that's, well, Nate Treacy, that's simply not true. At no point in the Popol Vuh does it state that the end of the long count calendar is synonymous with the apocalyptic end of existence. We should just accept, instead, the conclusion of the 13th Bachtun as a celebration of the creation of the fourth world so generously gifted to us by the gods. Well, if you'd shut up and let me finish, I will tell you that faithful Mesoamericans, such as myself, don't really care for silly little facts, okay? We understand the end of the world as we know it as simply that. The end of the world as we know it. This school of thought is anomalous because all it suggests is a change in human consciousness. And I became particularly interested in this question here at Putney when resident math rapper Kevin Feilstaub organized a trip to the Yucatan Peninsula, the very birthplace of the so-called prophecy, to determine the effects of a sustainable lifestyle on the fall of a functioning society. That trip never left, so I set out to find the answer on my own. And through 3 years of extensive research, I have determined that we, as Putney students, are, in fact, aptly prepared for the imminent collapse of civilization. Take, for example, the fact that Putney School students simply do not get sick, because we know that throwing up, if anything, is hazing and a show of dominance, and there is no room for our ideal egalitarian utopia. Know that there is an exceptional, unsurpassed sense of camaraderie amongst Putney students. You piss one of us off, you piss all of us off. Know that if you rub us the wrong way enough to unite us for a certain cause, we will not yield until 10 p.m. Humility here is a remarkable trait as well. At Putney, we don't live in ivory towers, though it's mostly because ivory is pretty expensive. The white vinyl siding is much more economical, equally as blinding. You want the 7 trumpets of the apocalypse? We have a jazz combo. You know, and so when that 7th angel blows his trumpet, so saith the book of Revelation. Or if you're not into that kind of thing, we got a little something for everybody. It may come in the form of unseasonal rain and infant Krishna, signifying the close of the Kali Yuga, wherein our world will once again start producing from the beginning, as suggested by Hindu eschatology. Or to you, it may be the rise of the sun from the west, the flattening of the earth and Allah's assessment of humanity, distinguishing by those bound for eternal damnation and those bound for everlasting salvation, paradise. You may be expecting the last judgment in the new Messianic age, when the land of Israel will turn from a desert into a happy, healthy, fruitful garden. Perhaps to you, it is the degeneration of true Dharma, the burgeoning of the 10 amoral acts as prophesied by Gautama Buddha, among them theft, lying, jealousy, greed, and perverted lust. But don't worry, we have none of those at Putney. Perhaps more apropos would be the Mr. Liffian school of thought. At last, the day of the blast, disaster, welcome to the hereafter, government powers in conflict, in a world gone sick, impact, now nothing is intact. But for all intents and purposes, let us assume the prophecy with which we are the most familiar, that being, of course, the end of the 13th Bahtun. Within the coming months, there will be a great deal of excitement, perhaps a touch of disappointment, maybe some acceptance, fear, and more so than anything else, uncertainty. But I do know this. Putney is one of those places we will all want to look out for when when the manure hits the fan. Because if I learned anything in 3 unbelievable years here, it's that the manure will hit the fan. Thank you.